Have you ever had a guitar that you just really wanted to love, but for one reason or another you couldn't? Well, for me, it's this guitar, the Fender Player Series Telecaster. And just as a quick disclaimer, this one is from the previous generation of Player Series because Fender recently released the Player 2 series, so this is not part of that lineup, but is from the one that is prior. And this one specifically has the dual humbucker pickups as opposed to the two single coils. I got this guitar at the end of May 2023, and I actually reviewed it in November of 2023, but as of filming this, it is now August of 2024, so I've had it for a little over a year now, and I wanted to do a follow-up review to this guitar. But as a quick disclaimer, I want to say that the reason why I don't really enjoy playing this guitar anymore is not the fault of this guitar. And actually, in my first review of this guitar, I did say that objectively it is a good guitar, and I do still stand by that. It's just personal preference why I don't enjoy this guitar, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. Hello, my name is Bryce, and I have already reviewed this guitar like I just said, and I'll leave a link to that review in the description of this video. But one thing that I didn't say in that review video is that I have loved the look of a Telecaster for a while now, and there's just something about it where it just makes me want to pick it up and just rock out on it and have a great time playing it. And that's not to say that I don't want to do that on any of my other guitars, but there's just something special about the Telecaster body shape for me. And I really like the neck on this guitar. It's super comfortable to play. The pickups sound pretty good. I'm not the biggest fan of, because this one you can split the pickups because it's dual humbuckers, and you can, the tone knob has a push-pull, so you can split the pickups, but they sound good, but there's a lot of noise, and that does bother me, and you'll hear some of that noise as well in some of the sound clips later on in this video. But overall, the neck feels great, and I love the look of the Telecaster headstock. This is the only modification I've made to this guitar, is replacing the tuners. I put hipshot locking tuners on this guitar. I haven't done anything else to this guitar, but it's just got that mojo, or whatever you want to call it, and I just really... It's a shame that I haven't really connected with it, but before I get into that, I want to share some sound clips with you. So my signal chain is the guitar going into the Horizon Devices Clarity Compressor pedal, which is then going into my Universal Audio Volt 2 interface, and I'm using the Neural DSP Archetype Plini X for all of the tones. So in my initial review, I said that the biggest thing that I didn't like about this guitar was the lack of arm carve. However, now that I've played it for a little over a year, I also realized that I don't like the finish on the fretboard. So not the neck, the fretboard is gloss. The neck is satin, the fretboard is gloss. And you know, hindsight, I probably should have known that that was going to be something that I didn't really like, because I've played guitars that have gloss necks, and I don't like playing those for long periods of time, because once my hands start to get a little warm, it starts to stick to the necks, and I should have just known that that would probably be the case for the fingerboard as well. And yeah, I don't like the way that that feels on my fingers when I'm playing. So that was one other thing that I noticed that I disliked about the guitar, besides the fact that, you know, when you're playing in the single coil mode, it has a lot of noise that also bothers me. But definitely the gloss fingerboard and the lack of arm carve are the two primary reasons why I am not vibing with this guitar and will probably let it go in the near future. And I'm going to get to that in a second, but I just want to say again, objectively, this is a good guitar. So there was nothing wrong with it. It's not like there weren't any sharp fret ends or anything like that. I got it from Sweetwater. The pickup sound fine to me at least. And then the everything works as it should on this guitar. So by all means, I was not expecting this guitar to be anything that it wasn't, right? Because when you think Telecaster, the first thing that comes to mind isn't like ergonomics or arm carves or necessarily comfortability, but I will say that this one does have a belly cut on the back, which I appreciate. It's nice, but your traditional Telecasters and even the Player Series Telecaster that has the 2 single coil pickups, that one does not have the belly cut. That one also doesn't have an arm cut, so it's more like the traditional one where it's just like a slab of wood, and that's not a problem for what that is. Like, I don't have a problem with that, but for comfort wise, I've realized that's just not something that I'm willing to compromise on when I have other guitars in my collection that are more comfortable. And actually, I just want to bring up a quick note about that. So I have 7 electric guitars in total, and this one is the one that I've had for the second longest. So my collection has had a major overhaul, but since I got this guitar, I've got 5 other guitars, and all but one of those had arm carves. And I've just realized after playing those, and the other one that doesn't have an arm carve is a PRS SE CE24. And even that one is still not the most comfortable, but it's way more comfortable than this for whatever reason. And I don't know if it's a shallow violin carve or whatever, but I've just realized that why would I compromise comfortability when I have other guitars that I enjoy the sound of and have a better time playing them just because I'm more comfortable playing them? Why would I spend my time playing something that's not as comfortable? And that's just the big point that I want to hammer home. There's nothing objectively wrong with this guitar, but just in terms of comfortability, it's not what I'm looking for in a guitar. So if you're somebody that you're like, you know what, I don't even care about arm carves or belly cuts or any of that, then I highly recommend you do check this out. And even if you're someone that you're like, I have to have an arm carve, don't just take my word for it. I highly recommend you try one out for yourself, because you may be surprised. At first, I really did enjoy playing this guitar, and I didn't really care too much that it didn't have an arm carve. But after playing it more and more, and then getting other guitars that did have the arm carves, the belly cuts, and not a gloss fretboard, I just was really realizing that, wow, those other guitars are more comfortable, and there's no slight against this guitar, but I would rather play those guitars. So yeah, don't let those things necessarily turn you off from trying it. But I would say if you're somebody that is like looking for the comfortability in guitars, definitely play one for an extended period of time before deciding for yourself. So yeah, at the end of the day, the reason why I don't really vibe with this guitar is because of the comfortability aspect of it. And that's just a personal preference. So that could be completely different for you, but I just wanted to share my personal take on it because I've had this guitar for a little over a year now. So yeah, it's objectively still a great guitar, but just one that's not quite for me. But what's a guitar that you just really want to love, but for whatever reason, you just can't? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, stay cool like a cloud and have a great day.